dip into the live chat, which we'll come to in a few moments as we see Aston Brown will be on pole position for Heat 3 with Harry Neeson alongside Toby Dukes, Logan Lauder row 2, James Roberts and Samuel Lowdy on row 3. Row 4 then we'll have Daniel Minto and Alex Jones with Caden Simpson and Riley Upton Young completing the top 10, James Tate and Jack Hutchinson on row 6. Thank you to Freya Yeadon, she's watching from Yorkshire, and Hewitt 2008 saying good luck to Jaden Hewitt from everyone in the Isle of Man. Yeah, remind that Jaden Hewitt makes the trip over for CKC from the Isle of Man, as there Toby Dukes is going to retake his position in 3rd place there on the 2nd row alongside Logan Lauder. Row 3 though, as these two have been so evenly matched between Roberts and Lowdy, they are over the line. They were a little bit side by side, and there's still a little bit of bumping and boring in the middle part of that opening chicane. I don't know whether anybody's going to be looked at for breaking formation there, but they were definitely outside the tram lines as they make their way through and over the line. So Toby Dukes takes a huge amount of curve. James Roberts is the driver that's managed to make his way through as this. Oh, and that looks like we had Neeson slightly sideways there. He was on the outside of 2 carts on the inside that both understeered slightly wide. Harry Neeson, though, managing to recover and actually I think managed to hold on actually to 4th place. We'll get confirmation they come over the line, but it could have been far, far worse as Toby Dukes tries to get down the inside of Logan Lauder. Over the line they come then for the first time then in Micromax. Brown leads the way from Roberts, Minto, Lowdy, Neeson, Dukes, although Lauder does cross the line slightly in front in 6th place. Dukes and in 7th, Simpson, Jones, Tate, Buckton, Young and Hutchinson, your runners in our Micromax class. There's Riley Upton Young behind James Tate, in front of them Alex Jones, who we know is probably going to come strong in this one. Alex Jones, he seems to take a while to get into it in the opening couple of laps, and then all of a sudden just has a massive burst of speed, does Alex Jones, and just starts appearing well towards the top of the timing, starts making a real good effort to head towards the top of the timing, the top 5. James Roberts now then leading the way from Aston Brown, has managed to get through the last part of the 2nd lap. Minto in 3rd. He's going to try and get all the way around the outside of Aston Brown, and does actually quite comfortably by the time they get to that 2nd chicane. So Aston Brown not quite having the top end speed that Minto and James Roberts have got. Minto being able to sweep all the way around the outside then on Aston Brown for that 2nd place. Alex James has been on saying let's go Harris Roberts 45. Well, he had a good effort of coming through the pack in that one, and got up in towards the top 5 or 6 and struggling to get through then towards the lead. But it's a track that, whilst we've mentioned a few times, has a lot of overtaking opportunities. It's not like you can do one into one call, one into the next. You do have to line them up, hence why we're not seeing drivers come through the pack quite as much as we have in some of the other CKC events, as Alex Jones and Toby Dukes argue over the same bit of track, tarmac and concrete on the curbs. Dukes though managing to hold back the advances of the number 30 Alex Jones, although Jones now will get the cutback potentially on Dukes. It's 5 deep in this battle from 7th all the way down to Riley Buckton Young in 11th place. There's James Tate and Caden Simpson. Simpson gets blocked on exit. Tate sweeps all the way around the outside and moves up into 9th place. Still though, Toby Dukes holding off Alex Jones at the front of this pack. RS72 joins us watching from Telford. Thank you very much for taking the time. Another comment coming in as well, as Alex Jones does finally manage to find a way through past Toby Dukes. Dukes on exit, arm up off the steering wheel. I'm not quite sure. I think that could have been because James Tate had a slight tap into the back, although I'm not sure how much Tate could do there because Dukes had been balked on exit and was slightly sideways. Tate carrying a lot more speed round there. I don't think he was expecting that, so nothing for me there on James Tate. Aston Brown now down into 4th place, has been overtaken by Samuel Lowdy in the last couple of laps. Neeson seems to be a lot closer in that battle for the top 5. Then we've got Lauder quite comfortably in 6th. Then we've got this battle with Jones, Tate, Dukes, Simpson and Riley Buckton Young as well, although they have spread out a little bit more in the last couple of laps. James Roberts and Daniel Minto battling out for the lead. They were side by side into the back chicane. Minto then now close enough to James Roberts to potentially put a move down the inside. Roberts then hard on the brakes. You see there turning the steering wheel left and right under braking just to scrub a little bit more speed off. Half race distance then in our Micro Max heat number 3. Daniel Minto in the box seat, watching the leader, feeling him out, finding out where strengths are, where the weaknesses are, where the move's going to come later on in the lap. We already know James Roberts is going to defend into that final double apex right because he feels that Minto's going to carry more speed into that corner. Down towards the double apex right, and now Minto does get through on James Roberts. Looks like Roberts was a little bit too hard on the brakes potentially there. We heard a little bit of tyre squeal down the inside there. Through comes the number 28 machine on the number 2 for the lead. Daniel Minto then leading the way now, and can James Roberts stick with Daniel Minto and be in a position to try and make a move as they head towards us there. Neeson and Aston Brown battling quite hard over 4th place there. There was contact on the way out, and that's allowed Logan Lauder to close right up on the back as well. And Aston Brown struggling to hold on as they bounce down that back straight. I haven't really seen that in any of the other classes as they take the bumps down that back straight. Aston Brown, not sure if that was frustration or just wanting Logan Lauder to work with him and push him onto the back of Harry Neeson, although Neeson has opened the gap and looks to have been able to move away ever so slightly. Minto though leads the way. Roberts was a kart length or 2 back into the hairpin, but seemed to close it up on the exit, so it looks to me more like Minto's geared to more towards the end of the straight. Roberts a little bit more towards the early part of it, trying to get hard on the brakes and then using the drive to get out of the corner in front of the kart in front. Aston Brown closes right up on Neeson. Looked like Neeson actually was going to break away in the last couple of laps as Roberts has managed to find a way back past Daniel Minto. You can see it there in the top corner. There was a flash of green, so we've missed that one off camera, but we have another change for the lead between our top 2 runners in this Micro Max class. Roberts then now leading the way from Minto, 1.5 minutes remaining. Aston Brown expecting to close up on Harry Neeson round here. He did on the last lap, was a lot closer. And once again now, Daniel Minto back in front of James Roberts. Roberts though gets the run out of the right-hander at the end of the chicane and through into the final corner, gets down the inside. Will Minto get the cutback? 1 minute remaining. We're going to have 3 more laps of action then in our Mini-Max class here at round 4 at Lydd for the Cadet Kart Championship. Daniel Minto in 2nd place, all over the back of James Roberts. They've both had goes at leading this race, chopping and changing for the victory. In this final heat, Minto with 2 race victories only needs 2nd to put him on pole position in the final, but this is psychological. Minto down the inside of James Roberts, through back into the lead with 30 seconds remaining. Still 2 laps though. Roberts is going to have plenty more opportunity if he sticks with Minto. Minto defends to the inside. Will he carry too much speed and allow Roberts to get the run out? They're side by side over start finish. Minto, those on the outside, should have enough to sweep round into the first chicane. 15 on the clock then, so that's going to go down to 0. And then when they come over next time round, it will be the last lap. Minto and Roberts putting on a show here at the front of our Micro Max class. Can Roberts, will he save it for the last lap, knowing that Minto's going to be much more defensive? Minto with a tighter line through the chicane. Roberts will potentially have more run down the back straight. Look at him close up right into the slipstream on Daniel Minto. James Roberts pulls out down the inside. Minto squeezes him, but Roberts is through down the inside. Minto's getting side by side. He's back on the inside. Daniel Minto leads them over the line then as we begin the last lap here at Lydd in Micro Max heat number 3. And James Roberts now starting to really pile on the pressure on Daniel Minto in front. Minto being able to hold off from James Roberts so far. Half a lap remaining then in this Micro Max heat number 3. Roberts all over the back. Minto goes tight into the back chicane. One more opportunity then for James Roberts, but I get the feeling that Dan Minto's going to park this one on the inside. Moves to the inside, then Minto white lines it Roberts is going to have to try and go down the outside, get the cutback. He's down the inside and up onto the grass. Balked into his exit and he's going to drop all the way down to third. Minto then with the victory. Loudy gets second. Robertson going for the win will drop down into third. Neeson, Lauder, Brown, Jones, Tate are going to be the top 8. Then it's going to be a drag race to the line between Simpson in 9th and Buckton Young in 10th. With Toby Jukes 11th, he's going to cross the line in front of Jack Hutchinson.